Hello and welcome to another episode of Ross on Cars. I'm Ross Furlong and this is a Porsche 964 RS. So for those of you who saw my first video, the Carrera 4, you might have seen that in that I mentioned I was hoping to borrow one of these 964 RSs from someone I know locally. That man is Mark Sumpter. He owns Paragon Porsche and he kindly lent me his baby today, as he describes it, and I'm going to be very, very careful with it, not least because it's worth rather a lot of money. Now, these 964 RSs came out in 1992. The RS stands for Rennsport. It's about 20 years on from the first and very famous 2.7 ducktail RS that came out, and it caused a lot of excitement. These were available to buy by the public. There's about 2,200 of them made, and really they kind of followed the ethos of the original RS in that they were designed to be a high performance engine, tweaked race chassis, and all the weight taken out, essentially. So it really followed that kind of formula of the original RS. Now, what I like about this car is that it doesn't look very different to a standard Carrera 2. You really need to know what you're looking for. This car came in three types. You had the lightweight, which we have here, you had the touring, and the NGT, which was made for the N classification FIA Cup racing. The car's in Rubystone Red, which I think suits it. It's a very special kind of racing colour and very unusual. You only seem to find it on this car. So it's always quite interesting trying to find the engine bay catch on a 964. It's hidden on the passenger side door here. There's a little clasp just here. You just pull that out. There we go. And the engine lid pops open. And you can see on here the Carrera RS, very rare thing, don't often see that. Very nice to see. And then the engine bay is lovely. How clean is that? Lots of lovely stickers on there, original stickers from the factory. This car's only done about 8,000 miles, amazingly. In terms of performance upgrades on this car, the flywheel is a lightweight one, so that has an impact on how you drive it with the revs and the throttle response, which we'll find out a bit more about later. The brake horsepower was only uprated by 10 to 260 brake horsepower, but because of the weight saving, I think there was 120 kgs less weight in this car than on an original Carrera 2. It meant that the 0 to 60 time came down by about 0.4 to 5.3 seconds, and the top speed didn't change too much to about 162 miles an hour. Other kind of invisible performance features on this car that you wouldn't see, there's lightweight bumpers here. There's also a limited slip differential in there, as it's a rear-wheel drive car. Around the bodywork here, you can see, for example, even these windows here, these were much thinner than the standard ones. These were 3 mils rather than 4.7 mils. So here you've got some magnesium wheels, much lighter than the original alloys on the Carrera 2, 17-inch on this car, slightly bigger than the ones on mine. And on the front of the car, aluminium bonnet. So the weight savings go throughout the car and into the interior of the car, which we'll take a look at now. So the interior of this car is very familiar to me, but it's not, in a way. You know, it's similar to my Carrera 4, but the first thing you notice about it are the seats. These rather lovely seats are very hugging. They're bound to keep me in my place when you're going around. They'll see much more sporting than the ones that I've got in my Carrera 4. The other thing you notice is there's lack of switches. In my car, there's lots of switches everywhere. They just aren't here because everything's been stripped out. So there's no radio, for example, the weight saving there. This looks a bit like the climate control I've got in mine, but it's not. It's just temperature, very basic temperature. Things like the interior light have been stripped out, so there's no interior light in here. The door cards are very kind of almost famous on this model, really. So if you have a look at the door cards down here, you always have a sort of colour coordinated door pull. So pull that there and the door opens. And of course there's no electric windows on here either. You've got this manual, remember these from the 80s. So this car doesn't have any back seats, of course, great weight saving there. Does just have this very nice detailing, the Carrera RS written on the back on the carpet. So another nice touch. So overall, this weight saving makes a massive difference to this car. I'm sure it's going to drive very differently and sound very different to my car. So I think it's about time we took it for a very careful test drive. Right, well, here we are in the 964 RS. I wasn't sure I'd ever say those words, but here we are. And I have to say it's the first time I've ever driven one of these. So I'm just going to give you my immediate reactions to that and how it compares to my Carrera 4. I'll just say that everything on this car is familiar, but it's just turned up to 11. You can hear the engine noise so much more clearly. You can hear the flywheel almost, you can feel the flywheel going round. The lightweight flight wheel makes the response much quicker. So from an acceleration point of view, it's much more immediate, and the lighter weight is just very responsive compared to the Carrera 4. You get a lot of feedback from the road, obviously, with the uprated suspension, and you know, it really does feel like a bit of a track weapon, this. I mean, you could take it to a track, go around there happily for the day and then drive it home. It's that sort of car, you know. It's not as comfortable as a Carrera 2, that's for sure, you know. I mean, it's a racing car after all, sort of embodying those Rennsport elements of performance engine, sports suspension, and then lightweight. But you know, it's understandable why a lot of people have taken a Carrera 2 and just kind of converted it into a sort of almost an RS in style, because it's quite I imagine it must be quite easy to do that. If you don't want to spend, you know, the money on an RS, which are, you know, quite expensive these days. It's a lovely day. It's nice and dry, crucially. So I think I'm going to take this for a bit of a spin. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video of the incredible Porsche 964 RS. If you did, hit like down below. And also let me know what you think in the comments. Would you have one of those, or would you have a Carrera 2 or Carrera 4 that's a bit more comfortable? Now, I've got some great cars coming up, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. This has been Ross on Cars. Thanks for watching.